Hey guys, Knight here. I want to tell you a story that is closely linked to the clown encounters that have been happening on the news. I find them very creepy, as these clowns are trying to lure people into the woods. I have a link in the description to the news stories. Now on to the story. If you have seen the news lately, there has been reports of clowns luring children into the forest. I was one of the first to experience this happen. It was utterly terrifying. I want to remain anonymous at the moment just in case the clown finds out who I am. Anyways, here's what happened. I am 14 years old and live in a small town in South Carolina. The town has a population of around 130 people. Summer was just about over and I had a summer job working at the local lumber yard. It was a great place to work. I helped customers load lumber into their vehicles. A pretty mindless job. I was able to stay physically fit. The best part is that my house is exactly 1 mile away. Walking to and from work is a daily occurrence. I just spent a long day hauling and moving lumber, and my workday was pretty much complete. It was about 9:30 p.m. when I started my walk home. The moon was just starting to light up the road, and the sun had completely set below the hills. There is no other houses between the lumber yard and my house. Our town is very rural. The road home has hills that peak high enough that you are unable to see what's on the other side until you crest it. The road is skinny with no shoulder, but it is freshly paved. The trees stack one by one behind each other in a row, and the vegetation is thick with a few game trails coming out onto the road. Crickets and frogs sound like an orchestra. The walk home usually takes about 30 minutes. I have done it so many times that I entertain myself with music. I put in my earbuds, throw on some tunes, and away I went. I was about halfway home when I heard what sounded like a high-pitched cackling laugh. What the hell was that? I said to myself. I took out my earbuds and stopped. I thought it was part of the music, but something about it did not fit into the song. I stood there motionless, looking to hear the same sound again. The frogs croaking were so loud that not even a scream could be heard. I thought nothing of it and walked home. The next day my shift started at 2 p.m. I started my walk to work around 1:30. Nothing was out of the ordinary. It was a beautiful day. I usually looked down at my feet and kicked any rocks that I seen. Having them skip across the fresh pavement was oddly satisfying. I kicked a rock and it skipped across the pavement and landed next to something strange. Laying in the dirt on the side of the road, it looked to be a bright red ball. I picked it up. I gave it a little pressure and it squeaked. Immediately I knew what it was. This is a clown nose, I said to myself. What the hell is it doing out here? I kept it and carried it to work to show the other staff members. I even put it on and gave it some honks. I got a few laughs. The day went on as usual, and around 9:30 p.m., I clocked out and began my long walk home. I forgot my earbuds at home, so I was unable to listen to my usual music. While I was on my way home, I was able to make out a faint image of a figure about 150 yards away of what looked like a deer standing in the middle of the road. It was hard to make out as the fog hovered on the ground and the moonlight backlit the animal. As I got within 100 yards, it must have gotten spooked. I could see a rough outline scamper back into the forest. Little did I know this was not a deer, but something more sadistic. I passed the spot in which the deer took off back into the woods. As I walked by, I heard footsteps about 20 yards behind me. I thought this was strange, as I've never seen a deer come back onto the road once it was scared off. Before I could look back, I heard, "Hey there!" I turned my head to see a clown standing in the middle of the road, with his hands behind his back. He wore baggy pants and a baggy shirt that was obviously a clown costume, but it was very dirty, so dirty that the colors faded into stains. His makeup ran down his face and his eyes were black. He tilted his head to the side and said, "You have something of mine. I need it back." He gave a small little laugh after he spoke. I don't have anything of yours," I said as I started to walk backwards. My house was still a quarter mile away. This is when the situation went from odd to terrifying. He said, "Well then, if you don't have my nose, I'm gonna need yours." He pulls out 2 machetes behind his back and clinked them together. "Run!" he yelled. I turned around and with all my might I took off running down the middle of the road. I could hear his feet start to run. I didn't look back, but I knew he was behind me. If I looked back, it might slow me down. The blades of his machete drug on the asphalt. I was in great shape, but I could hear his footsteps getting louder, signaling he was getting closer to me. He would even let out a little giggle that would feed my adrenaline even more. My lungs started to burn. I began to crest the hill. At this moment, I can hear him almost right behind me, just about touching me. Out of nowhere, a truck crests the hill, and his headlights shine me. I wave my arms in sheer panic. He stops. I quickly look behind me and see nothing. No clown. I tell the man in the truck what had happened, and he calls the police. I will never make that walk again. I have no idea how the clowns got to that location and why he was waiting for me. I never seen any vehicles parked on the side of the road, nor there is any houses for miles. This has been my worst nightmare that came true. Now I have found out what is happening to more people. Clowns hiding in the woods. Is this a cult? A group of scary clowns with the goal of terrifying people? I have no idea, but I do know that I'm never able to walk in the dark, or see clowns the same. Please people, stay safe out there and be aware of your surroundings while walking alone in the dark. If you like this story and want to be scared weekly, please subscribe to my channel.